What sort of things were you taught when you were growing up?
You know, Jewish hatred, this is not a secret thing. Hatred towards the Jewish people, towards the infidels, towards the Christians. It's part of the, I'll say, the Islamic common teaching.
It was just in the air.
It's in the air, it's in the book, it's in the mosque, it's in the school. And people think that it is normal to just preach hatred towards other people because they are different or because they don't agree with the Islamic principles. So wherever you go, there is hatred towards anything that was not Islamic.
And particularly against the Jews in Israel.
Mostly.
When you were growing up, and presumably you absorbed this in your family home, in the mosque, in school, and people assumed that the aim was the eradication of Israel. That was the main aim. Am I right?
Yes, this is, it's not only in Hamas charters, it's in fact a desire not only for the Palestinian Islamic movements like Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic Jihad, Hizb al-Tahrir, Salafi jihadists. Even in the past years we had the Islamic State in the Palestinian arena, but it's also the non-Islamic movements that praise Jewish slaughter. And this was the biggest problem that they had in the 90s during the suicide bombing attacks.
In the second Intifada.
In the second, before and after the second Intifada. And people used to celebrate.
So when the news came through that there had been a successful suicide bombing in Tel Aviv, it was...
At least I would say a majority of the Palestinian population celebrated, praised suicide bombing attacks, even though it targeted civilians, mostly civilians.
And everyone knew that.
Everybody knew that. In fact, people would celebrate more when the death toll would be greater, even though we had Arabs, foreigners who died in those attacks, children, women, elders, all type of people. And this is where, you know, from the early beginning I had this moral conflict. You know, how can you celebrate and enjoy the suffering of people like this?
Survey shows overwhelming majority of Muslim college students hate Jews. It stands to reason. Islamic Jew hatred is a central teaching of Islam and the root cause of the hatred of the tiny Jewish state. Because you know, Islam is peace, apparently, which anyone can see is a lie. Most Muslims don't know this, because their scholars and da'as are compulsive liars. But according to Muhammad, Allah will punish Jews and Christians for the sins of Muslims. Yes, Islam teaches substitutionary atonement. It's astounding that a religious movement that inspires hate and violence is being normalized in the West. At this rate, the West won't last much longer.
And of all the people you met who wanted to do this, I mean, the belief that they were going to do this and that it was a righteous act, an act justified by God and their religion, but they also literally believe that they're going to go straight to paradise.
Of course, there has to be a reward.
You say of course, but it's just, it's not... It's very alien to the rest of the world, this idea.
I mean, it is, but for those who live in delusion, you know, to believe in principle, in some entity that exists somewhere in the universe, that is punishing and rewarding people based on their obedience or their disobedience. You know, one of the things in the Quran that Allah hates the Jewish people for being disobedient. Hence, many of those jihadists think that they are the sword of God on earth. that they are actually manifesting the punishment against the Jewish people for being disobedient. And this is why, I personally questioned the belief system itself. I thought it was not enough to work in counter-terrorism, shooting down terrorists or trying to stop a suicide bomber before they reach their target. But after 10 years of this operation, I came to realize that we were fighting a ghost, because we did not deal with the belief system. And this is why, when I go publicly and say Islam is a problem, because whether if you believe that your reward is a 72 virgins in the afterlife, or you believe that you are blessed by the same entity in this life, you still believe in a hypothetical God which does not exist. But this God is actually your drive in life.
You have to ask yourself, how ironic is it that Islam believes in a religious movement that's apparently peaceful, yet their so-called God that they apparently believe in is a God of war and bloodshed? It should be logical to follow a religion that doesn't worship a violent entity. But common sense isn't so common anymore. Several imams, who are Muslim leaders, explain how the Quran demands that Muslims hate the Jews for no reason other than because Allah, through the words of Muhammad, says so. Muslims are angry, bloodthirsty people. Show this video to everyone who says the Quran doesn't teach Muslims to hate anyone.
نحن نعادي يهود حتى ولو أعادوا إلينا فلسطين لأنهم كفار.
لو أن اليهود تركوا لنا فلسطين خلاص يبقوا حبايبنا؟ لا طبعا، عمرهم ما هيبقوا حبايبنا إطلاقا. عقيدة في اليهود واحد أنهم كفار، اثنين أنهم أعداء، مش أعداء عشان يحتلوا فلسطين، وإنما هم أعداء ولو لم يحتلوا شيئا.
وإحنا كراهيتنا أو كرهنا لليهود من منطلق عقيدة. القرآن هو اللي بيدعونا ان احنا نكرههم وما نحبهمش.
هؤلاء يعانوا من حالة نفسية مضطربة. والله مش أنا الذي أقول، القرآن الكريم وصفهم بأنهم لا يوجد لهم مثيل. لتجدن أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا اليهود. يهلك هيك قرفة ناس لا عندهم لا دين ولا مبدأ ولا ضمير ولا. أنا أستنكر ممن يؤمن بالتطبيع معهم، ممن يؤمن بالجلوس معهم، ممن يؤمن أن هؤلاء بشر ليسوا بشر وليسوا أناس وليسوا لا بذوات دين ولا ضمير ولا أخلاق.
هؤلاء هم اليهود باختصار. وإن لنا عندهم نحن المسلمين لثأرا لا والله لن ينقضي إلا باستئصالهم بإذن الله تعالى.
أعداء المسلمين بعد إبليس هم اليهود. من الذي قال ذلك؟
It's time for you to wake up. Islam is spreading and you should protect your society and children from an ideology that secretly wages war on anyone who doesn't agree with it. This violates the ways of the West, along with freedom. Get educated, don't cower away before it's too late. Brave souls will save the West from the doom of being trampled on by hate-filled Islamists.
Saya mau ikut Yesus. Saya mau ikut Yesus.